guys, so I'm back with another quick DIY tutorial. So I wanted to try a few face masks and I just wanted to show you a few easy steps, and I wanted to show you how to do a style with no sewing machine, right? So you don't need any sewing machine. So I did a black one, a shimmer silver, and a sequence face mask, and then I added a little bit of bedazzle on the black one. So I'll show you how you can add a few embellishments. So you'll need your material, scissors, a pen, paper, measuring tape, stitch witchy or ironing tape, a glue gun, your elastic, and a paper towel. And then I'll list everything that you need below in the description. So what I decided to do was I took a mask that I got from the dollar store and I kind of used it as my guide. So this measurement is 6 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I wanted to give it a little bit of space for your stitch witchy and folding. So I measured the piece of paper by 7 3/4 by 6 1/4. You'll need every bit of that by the time you fold it and everything. So after I have my paper all cut out, I'll trace it. This is the black material that I had. I had like a white chalk like color pencil to use that on the black material, which is helpful, and I traced it. And then I got my stitch witchery, my ironing tape. Just make sure you place it correctly and you're not using the wrong side. So I took my stitch witchy, I folded it over, I ironed it, and just, you also want to be careful with the temperature of the iron. You don't want to burn this material. I used the satin and I wanted to use the cloth side. So be careful with your materials and ironing. The stitch witchy should be fine. You're going to iron each side, kind of give it your marker. It should look a little something like this. And then I'll show you how I folded the edge to make the creases. The one at the Dollar Tree had 3 creases in it. I only did 2 creases, about 1/4 of an inch deep. I kind of used a pen kind of as my guide, and it should look a little bit of something like this. You want to iron your creases in, and I'll show you a little bit what I did later with the creases. Now the one from the Dollar Tree, it was kind of, the ends of the creases were kind of glued down. So what I had to do, this was a side that I didn't, my creases were kind of like folding up. So I took a little piece of stitch witchy before I folded it back, and I put it inside of the pleat. You're kind of making like 2 big pleats. So I put maybe about 1/2 inch of stitch witchy inside of the pleat to kind of keep it from like flapping up once I folded it over. And so once I folded it over, it looks all nice and neat. And so look, it looks like a, what is it called? Like a cummerbund or something. So it looks nice and neat. And so I cut the edges, and yeah, it's just exact same size as the one from the Dollar Tree. If you want to make it a little tad bit bigger and just use a mask underneath that, mind you, this is like a fabric one, so it's more so for style. And so yeah, I thought it came out perfect. For the sides, now I understand why they use elastic. Elastic is more universal and it adheres to different shape sizes. But I found like an old lanyard strip, and I cut it up from like an old conference, and I cut up the lanyard strip and used that. Now I had to add 2 additional inches to it. And so these are just some of like other little pieces of string that you have laying around the house. Like you can use them like the party hat, like it was a piece of elastic on there, but I think it's too thin. But string, yarn, whatever you have, you can use it, but you're just going to have to add an extra inch or 2. And I would suggest like, attaching the 2 upper sides and then kind of measuring. So here I took the lanyard strip and I just sewed it on, and it was just a perfect fit. So these 2 black lanyard strip that I used for this particular mask was 9 inches. And I did notice that some of the different materials, like they measure differently, but yeah, it looks perfect. What I did is I went in on the sides and I added an extra little buckle. I sewed in, like I pleated it up a little bit like on the sides, and I added a 3rd buckle in because it kind of gives it a more of a 3-dimensional feel, and it allows for no air to come through. Now the napkin, you can kind of cut one to size and slip it underneath if you want to replace the napkin each time for sanitary purposes. So yeah, that's what I did. Like you really don't need to tape it in because it kind of like like automatically like folds in. So yes, this is a black face mask, perfect for a gentleman. You could do it in different colors. You definitely want to watch some different materials. This particular one is not machine washable because I use Stitch Witchy. And unfortunately, if you want one that's machine washable, you will have to sew it. Now I added a few accents. You can add some iron-ons, some different words, a couple of different symbols to make your mask really, really pretty. Okay, so for the silver one, I use the same measurements, the same concept as the black one. I just measured it. Be careful if you're using like a black marker. It will bleed through and kind of like get on the iron a little bit. But this one I decided to use a hot glue gun, and it works just the same. Like, it's easy. When you're using the hot glue, don't place a lot of glue on it. Make sure it's very minimal. That way when you bend it, it's not really tough from like thick glue. And it worked out fine. I bent it. Make sure you pin down your sides with the Stitch Witchy or the hot glue. And then I decided to use the elastic from my old mask that I had, and it worked fine. I just hot glued it in the corner because the material is really light. It looks perfect. It's the same size, like almost the exact same size as the one from Dollar Tree. And with the elastic, you don't have to worry about different face sizes or different measurements. And this is the silver mask that looks bright, it's sparkly. It's good for a female if you're trying to, be cute on the airplane, or if you have somewhere to go and you kind of don't want to look like a someone in the healthcare field. Just kind of like softens it up a bit. So my last and final mask is a sequence one. This sequence material is really pretty. It actually is stretch on one side. So the long way is kind of the part that I use horizontally to stretch. And so you'll see closely how the material is. Now this particular one, I just use the same measurement as the mask from the Dollar Tree, 6 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I just cut it along the lines. Just be careful, fold back the sequence. Make sure if you accidentally cut into a piece of thread that you go back and kind of hit it with a little bit of glue. All you do is just sew on your edges. This white string material that I had measured 8 inches instead of the 9. So some of your materials are different. I went in with the extra little buckle to give you kind of like my 3D circumference, to give you a little bit of breathing room. And it was just beautiful. It's sparkly. Definitely will use this one for like travel. You have a special night out, especially with the months to come, and you kind of don't want it like a plain like mask. So yeah, these are all 3 of my masks. They're so pretty, so quick. Honestly, it may take you about like 30 minutes comfortably to make. And so yeah, you can make some for men, children. You can make custom sizes for children. And I thought that they came out so perfect. I'm so excited. I definitely will try to experiment with a few different materials the next time, a few different designs. If you want to make one that is machine washable, you definitely will have to use a sewing machine. That way, if you want to wash it, all the time. So yeah, I really love this. The sequence one is my favorite. And then add an extra little bling. You can find different iron-ons, a few different pieces to add. So yes, this is all 3 masks. I love them. They're so beautiful. So you can be creative, share with everyone, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.